Hello, I am Jen Wilson, the Healing Rebel. Welcome to this week's podcast. I wanted to give an update on my journey with my histamine response. So you may or may not remember, back in episode 159, I was talking about the histamine bletheritis that I was getting from eating food, basically, particularly fermented foods, how this was showing up originally on my cycle, and then it came to the point where my eye was just red and inflamed. Well, the skin around the eye was red and inflamed pretty much all the time. I had to then go on an explorative journey to find out what was causing it and how to help myself heal, because I am the Healing Rebel. First thing I did was remove fermented foods, as in all the sauerkrauts and fermented veggies, and made a tiny bit of difference to soothe it. What I was using was castor oil, and that definitely took the pain out of it, but it didn't always fully clear the red irritation under the skin. Over time, I just gradually removed things from, sorry, I can see a wasp, and I'm not sure if it's in the house or out the house. I'm just a wee bit distracted by that. Right, no, it must be outside, it's gone. Sorry, I thought it was between the curtain and the window. If you go back and listen to episode 159, I talk about how that was presenting for me. But what I've done to help me heal, first of all, I removed fermented foods from my diet. And initially, I removed all except the milk kefir, because I did remove that and then stopped going to the toilet. And the milk kefir really, really helps. So I kept that in, removed all the other fermented foods, and that did help a little bit, but it didn't fully help. And eventually, I just had to take the bull by the horns after reading lots of information and do a 2-week removal of any potential irritants. I don't really eat sugar anyway, but there was no sugar, there was no gluten, there was no dairy, there was no ferments. I very much ate a lot of resistant starches. So resistant starches are what you get in potatoes and rice when you cook them and then let them cool, and then either eat them cold or you can reheat them to eat them, and you get that resistant starch. So resistant starch is like one of those wee spiky brushes that goes in and cleans out the pipes, and that helps mop up and remove excess estrogen and excess histamine from the system. So one of the things that I talked about in podcast 159 was about when your histamine rises, it makes your body produce more estrogen, and more estrogen makes your body produce more histamine. So you're in this viciously spiraling cycle. I needed to look at what could I do to help clear out the excess, and also look at what was potentially causing the excess to be there in the first place. Because to me, what it meant was there was a metabolic issue. My body is not breaking down and digesting and being able to eliminate and detoxify both the estrogen and the histamine. One of the things that they suggested for excess histamine in the system is that there is an enzyme. It's either DEA or DAO, something like that, 3 letters. This particular enzyme, now you can't buy the enzyme as a digestive enzyme. It's an enzyme that your body naturally produces, and chicken was one of the things that helps your body create this or produce this enzyme. So I started eating more chicken. Now I get chicken thighs because they are more nutritious and they're much cheaper, and I cook them in my slow cooker with veggies and curry or whatever I decide to make. Oh, the colour's gone funny on the screen. If you're watching this, I do apologise. Not sure what's happening there. It's over colour correcting. Never mind. We're having a lot of distractions today. Welcome to my mind. So yeah, the enzyme I was getting from the chicken. So using chicken thighs, getting that seemed to help a little bit. The resistant starch to help mop up the excess histamine and the excess estrogen in the system, to help that flush out. I obviously was doing my lymphatic drainage every single day to help with that detoxification process. Then because the histamine and the excess estrogen getting into the bloodstream, that's highlighting that the gut is leaking. Spoken about leaky gut before, so doing things to help soothe and try and heal the junctions of the gut lining, so using marshmallow root, using, oh, I've taken a blank, aloe vera, oh, my brain, and sodium butyrate. Now, sodium butyrate is the end product of what the gut microbiome produce in your gut, and the butyrate is what you need to make the tight junctions. So taking sodium butyrate is kind of jumping to the end byproduct. There was a study that came out fairly recently indicating that sodium butyrate as a supplement may be useful for people with colitis to help heal a damaged gut lining. And because this is the end product, this is the amino, is it an amino acid? Sodium butyrate is the byproduct of what the bacteria in your gut produce when they work their magic. And if you have gut dysbiosis, if you have that disrupted gut, then taking the sodium butyrate has indicated that it can be beneficial to people with inflammatory bowel disease. This study was specifically for colitis, but that inflammation, that damage in the gut. So I've done these things to help heal my gut. I then really needed to poo, so I wanted to bring the milk kefir in because I knew that this helped. Oh, another thing, I had a stool test done for the hospital, and the stool test that I had shown that the inflammation markers had slightly elevated. Not anything for me to be worried about, but the inflammation markers were higher. And that was in that window of time when I had taken all fermented foods out. Now, when I had had my stool test done about 6 months before, it was in the under 20 bracket, under 30 bracket, that means that the bowel's happy and healthy and it's not got inflammation in it, which is exactly where I want it to be. It had elevated up to 90, 96, which isn't chronically problematic, but it was starting to move back up. I've now reintroduced the milk kefir. Now, when I went back to the milk kefir after having been off it for 2 weeks, I went to organic milk rather than regular full fat milk to see if that made any difference. So I've had milk kefir every day since I did that 2-week detox, and I've not had a flare up in my eye. I have reintroduced a small amount of fermented vegetables. So I started with my sprout kraut, because that was the only one that hadn't gone funky in the fridge. I've been eating that. Now that's got other things added to it: chili, sesame, apple, ginger, can't remember what else. So there's lots of different stuff in there, and I've had that a few times on bread. I haven't had a flare up yet. Touching the wood, hoping that what I am doing is working, hoping that it lasts for longer. That was my protocol. Remove, and this, I would say this for anybody that's having any kind of allergic reaction to anything. Take all the irritants out. So common irritants are your dairies, are gluten, sugar, definitely alcohol. Anything else that you know that you have a sensitivity or a reaction to. So if your tongue starts to get achy, if your nose runs, if you start to cough or sneeze, or your skin gets itchy, then your body is responding and reacting. So what can you do? You need to take those things out and then do the work to help your gut heal. The marshmallow root helps stimulate the mucosal lining all the way through the digestive tract. Aloe vera helps cool and soothe any irritant. So if you've ever cut yourself and put some aloe vera on it, you will notice how quickly that feels like it cooled and it heals really quickly. So I would take just a small shot, maybe about 25 mils a day of the aloe vera, and then the sodium butyrate based on the taking it as per the instructions on the bottle. Those are the things I take. These are the things that have worked for me. The only way you'll know if they work for you is to try them. On that note, if you have got any questions, please do ask. Jump back and listen to that podcast 159 if you haven't listened. I do apologise for the distractions of the wasp and the colour changing on the screen. These things happen because I'm slightly technically challenged in using basic devices. And if you are wanting to know more about things that you can do to help your body heal, if you want to do things that are going to help you reduce inflammation, reduce toxins in your body, reduce stress and anxiety, and start to help your body heal, then you should definitely check out the Healing Rebel membership over at iamjenwilson.com/heal. And if you've got any questions, please do ask. If you can help support the podcast by just giving it a wee like, a wee share, subscribe, follow, wherever you're watching this. If you know anybody that might get benefit from hearing what I have shared with you today, then if you could please pass that on, and I will check in with you on the next podcast. Hope you are doing well.